sent it in, or I sent you an email, James, or I bugged you, Brian, down there and invited you out to things, and I don't hear from you. Okay, and a week goes by and months go by and I hear nothing. How many of you want to be called on the phone? Ooh, see that? Okay, how many of you want just a quick email follow-up like, hey, I sent it in. Okay, good. How many of you want us to send a formal letter just actually in the hard copy mail? Doesn't matter. Okay. How many of you want to be schmoozed or pressured by somebody else that we know, that might know you, and just say, hey, I heard that it... Okay, so I think...
But wait, there's a good answer to that.
All right.
The schmoozing, and I think we heard Brian from Fremont Bank say that, needs to take place before the application gets in.
Good.
Okay, we can help craft that application. If you come to us, and thank you, I'm hearing a yes. If you come to us and you say, I want to be funded for this, would this work? Right. Well, we have knowledge to say, well, maybe you might want to tweak a little bit. Does it have a STEM component to it? As opposed to your paper products, maybe you want to bring in a speaker. Would you consider asking for a request that way? Don't wait until the application that you've already submitted is there, and maybe it's not something that resonates with us. Talk to us ahead of time.
Good, very good point. Okay, so then I still don't hear from you, and then I get this denial letter. How dare you deny? And you're wrong. You're just wrong. So do we tell you you're wrong? How do we work with you when we know you have made the worst mistake of your life, not funding us? And what do we do again? Do we apply next year? Who's got it? James, you're on top of that.
So first, I wanted to say we will respond. You will not hear crickets chirping when you send something to us. We will definitely respond. The answer may be that we don't have money for you right now. But as I mentioned, our campaign has a number of different components. There are other types of things that we would like to engage with you on. It might be promotion. It might be helping connect you with other things that we're involved with that allow more exposure for your organization, or opportunities to interface and network with other businesses that we're working with, or other organizations. So there will always be something that I think that we'll be able to provide, although it may not be money right away.
Any other thoughts on that? Yes.
I wrote this one down. I said, personally, if I was convinced there was a mistake, I would follow up. You just have to get that off your chest. But also, if I wasn't getting the response from the funder that I expected, I might, send a stronger email, and then I might even follow up with somebody else in the organization. Because quite honestly, if funders aren't being responsive to you, at least with a hi, hello, yes, no, that's unprofessional. In the end, we're here to benefit charity. We're here to benefit nonprofit. We're benefiting real people, real needs, real good ideas in our communities. We should be responsive to you. But please, 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 do your research first. Make sure it is a fit before you apply. Otherwise, you're going to waste your 20 minutes or your 2 days.
Okay, yeah. Michelle, and then David.
And if you've done the research, you've applied, you received the denial letter, and you still feel like, as Susan said, like we just didn't get it, we missed something in the application, absolutely call or send an email to ask for an appointment, to a meeting time to discuss, so that you can get the feedback. Help me understand, what did we miss in the application? And I'm happy to have those conversations. They're not always easy, but I'm happy, I'll have them. And you should be able to hopefully hear exactly where the mark was missed, and if there is, it can be tweaked, like Nadine said, for next year or the next funding cycle. I also try to provide other resources. If it's not a good fit for me, we work really closely with the East Bay Community Foundation. I have someone who is in the office who is really my right hand and does all the heavy lifting for us for our Oakland giving. And I'm often on the phone with her. How can I help this organization? Who do you know that might be interested in funding this thing that's not going to be a fit for us? The Clorox company also has an employee giving program similar to Lawrence Livermore, where we match dollar for dollar up to $2,500, and that is a year-round program now. And so our employees can give. So our focus is very specific, K through 12 education and cultural arts programs. The employee giving program, the workplace giving, is open to virtually any nonprofit organization that the employee wants to support. So if you all know folks that, and we're not the only companies that do this kind of thing. So many of your networks have matching programs. So, that's another resource for you.
Okay, so Marianne, did you want to add
I want to
something
say
real
very
quick?
quickly about
and Ken? Okay, quickly, you all.
About the decline call, it is an opportunity for you to do relationship building. So it's not you made a mistake, funder. It's can you explain to me why I was declined so I can improve? And that's a perfectly legitimate time to say, anybody else you know who's in funding in our area who might be more open to this kind of request? Because funders know funders.
Ken?
And along those lines, as I mentioned earlier, for us, it's kind of the opening of a dialogue. Because quite frankly, talking to the entire community, we're having to say no 90%, 95% of the time. But it's not a strong no, because it's a dialogue. It's where are there some connections. So let me give you one example. If you're familiar with AT&T's UVerse service, it's video, but it's also internet services. We have a program where, as part of our statewide franchise for UVerse, for every 10,000 of our customers, we provide a basic package to a community center for free. And it's not a time-sensitive thing, it's ongoing. Now, you have to be part of the California Teleconnect Fund, and you have to be, your center has to be in the UVerse green area, meaning that, the site of your center would be able to get UVerse service. But that's one of the things that, I've offered to several organizations, and in fact, they do have something that could be considered a community center. And while we weren't able to fund the program that we discussed, now they have a basic package at their location that provides basic TV channels and basic internet service for that center. So there's those type of things, and I know we'll talk maybe some more about employee involvement as well as other opportunities for staying connected, even if that particular funding that you're looking for at that point in time doesn't pan out.
Okay. David, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I just think follow-up, especially for our organization that is all volunteers that are doing other things during the day for work, and they have limited time to respond, and it may take some time, even though we're trying to standardize our processes and always acknowledging when you've submitted a grant or when that grant's approved, denied, or deferred to another period. Our response time is not always as quick as everybody would like, and so we encourage follow-up, feedback. And if your grant's not approved, seeking feedback as to why it wasn't approved or how you can improve your grant request or articulate what it is that you really want it for is important. We've had people that, based on the grant request we received, we did not feel was a good fit for our organization as support. When they received that denial letter, they reached out to us and asked us why and articulated a little better what they were really trying to do. They rewrote their grant request, and at the next approval period, it was a slam dunk approval because the way they articulated it, and we realized, wow, that was completely different than what we understood with the first grant request.
Good points. Okay, so now let's move into stewardship. And again, a little bit of a, I'm sorry, Brian, did you want to add to that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think especially for us on the corporate giving side, when you're doing the request or grant stuff, is read what's on the website. Because a lot of times we'll say, well, we do not fund, and it's listed. And we get a lot of applications that are in that are just like, well, we kind of listed it was there, and that was the denials because of what, we're saying we don't do these, we get these, and then, so that causes a little bit of a, starts a conversation, but again, it's like, well, we just don't fund these, and but yet we get a lot of applications because they just don't read what's on the sites. And again, if it is a denial type of thing, usually on our foundations, because we've worked so heavily with organizations, those are usually, we know the outcome, or we'll go to the advisory groups, we'll talk about it, we'll go to our board, we'll discuss it, and some of these may take a couple months just because we're willing to spend that time.
Good. So look at the website. Look at their applications. All right, let's go into stewardship a little bit.